For many people living with dementia, memory impairment is not the only barrier to maintaining their independence. Changes in sensory awareness is another major factor, which is why Walking Charity Paths for All have developed a dementia-friendly area in their National Path demonstration site where they will teach professionals and volunteers from charities, third sector organizations and community groups how to make walking areas more accessible for all. With the help of a grant from the Dementia Services Trust, the project began last year and will be used to help support projects that improve the walking environment for people living with dementia. Senior Development Officer Carl Greenwood said, "We've got an aim to increase the number of people in Scotland who are physically active, and we believe walking is the best way to do that because it's free, you don't need equipment, and it's something that almost everybody can do." Since 2015, Paths for All have helped their networks of walking groups become dementia-friendly through training and grants and encouraging them to look at how walks can be made more accessible. Mr. Greenwood said, "There are lots of barriers for people living with dementia accessing these sorts of activities, so we've put in place accreditation for groups to work through, and from feedback we've seen there's so much that we could be doing with our environment to make them more inclusive and to make them more enjoyable spaces, not just for people living with dementia, but for everybody." The demonstration site is a resource to help the charity showcase best practice, inclusive design and infrastructure, and management of shared-use paths. The 1-kilometre path loops around Scotland's rural college's Oatridge campus in Broxburn, West Lothian, and now includes benches, bold signage, gates and different path surfaces. Mr. Greenwood said, "With this award we saw an opportunity to create an area focusing specifically on dementia. Through our previous work in this area we know that just because someone has got a diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean they want to stop getting out and about in their local communities and green spaces. Many people living with the condition still live at home and want to maintain their independence for as long as possible," said Mr. Greenwood. "They still want to get out like they always have, but there are lots of barriers in terms of confidence, concerns around safety and just knowledge of safe and accessible places to go and walk, so it's those things that we're trying to look at." The project will take a social approach rather than a medical one, encouraging training participants to think differently when coming to apply what they learn there. Mr. Greenwood said, "We don't over-medicalize the training because if someone is diagnosed with dementia we think about how sense." For more on this story, visit the news article link.